Okay, so welcome to day 2 in our track. And you'll notice from the agenda that we have for the rest of the day, while it's primarily focused on insurance, that we also have some of our banking colleagues and banking customers joining us for the sessions today. So it'll be a nice blend of both insurance as well as banking in terms of some of the relevance of what are our topics for our track today. Just 2 housekeeping items. Please, I ask if you do have questions, please go on to the app, use the widget for questions. I'll be monitoring the questions as we go. So any questions, please use the widget on the app. And the other widget we ask you to use is the widget to actually give us some feedback in terms of the rating, et cetera, of these sessions. It's really great for us to have that feedback so we can improve it for the next time in terms of content, subject matter, et cetera. So don't want to waste any more time. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I do want to introduce my colleague, Nikola Jokic. He's going to take us through some of the stuff in insurance. So over to you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Happy to be here today. And
now it's working.
I hope you did not come to hear about FPSL at Swiss Re, because I stepped in last moment with another topic. It's about platformification and embedded insurance. Yesterday, I guess most of you attended the keynote of Dirk. He was talking about megatrends. And at the end of the day, we wrapped up with a great session of Gret, where he was actually guiding us through the future of economy and what traditional financial institutions need to do to stay competitive and relevant in that new world. So today, I will reflect a bit on 2 of the trends. One is embedded finance and platformification. So, and primarily guide you through how insurers will face those trends. So some of the challenges which insurers face looking at those trends, first of all, is digitalization. So especially during the pandemic, we see a great shift towards online. So basically shifting away from face-to-face interactions and delivering digital experiences for customers and agents online. Next to that, I mean, more and more, and I was attending a couple of conferences recently, and also in the hallway, you can hear the term embedded insurance. So more and more, there are use cases where you actually want to sell insurance to the end customer when the customer is buying a product or a main product or a service online. So you want to bring the insurance cover at the moment when the customer need it the most and where they need it the most. So how the insurers can actually tackle that challenge and actually enable themselves to support that business model. Next to that, we have a emerging sharing economy trend. So companies like Airbnb, Uber, they're pretty much disrupting the business models and creating a new one. And also for insurers, this basically means how are they going to evolve their distribution in order to be able to serve these new business models. Having said all that, I mean, you can see there is a plenty of kind of new channels, and consequently, most of them are online, or all of them are online. Insurance companies need to create tons of new products, or better to say, product variants, which they can actually tailor-made for specific customer need. So I think everyone is familiar with a traditional business model of insurance. So we have core insurance in the back end, where insurers typically manage the product portfolio, policy life cycle, and then have integration and offering insurance products and services through, let's say, couple or few of the distribution channels, but typically not more than 10. So you have brokers, own agents, banks, and in some cases, of course, more and more recently, own customer portals. But these are more or less silos. So this is like how the industry looked in the past and maybe looks today. But going forward, I would say we see more and more rise of ecosystems. So the industry borders are not there anymore. You don't sell insurance anymore through FS institutions only, but you also sell it through many other players in the ecosystem. So for example, e-commerce, Amazons of the world, car dealers for car insurance, online travel agencies, so you could book your trip during at the booking.com, and at the checkout, you can actually add insurance, travel insurance for it. Similarly, also, if you book your flight at Lufthansa or any other airline, you still already now have a possibility to buy insurance online as well. So there are plenty of these, and we can easily say there is explosion of distribution channel and partners. So how do insurers actually address that growth of the distribution partners they need to serve? Of course, I mean, if you look into picture logically, they need to extend integration. So if they build 5 to 10 integrations in the past for existing partners, they need to build maybe hundreds in the future. Already number scares a bit. So, and this is only about the integration. So can you really do it in an economical fashion? That's a question. On the other hand, I mentioned that in the early slide, so even though once you connect, the job is not done, because you still have to tailor insurance products and make many more variants for these channels. Because you're selling insurance online, you don't have any more a broker or an agent to support you or to support the end customer in purchasing insurance. So you need to make personalized or even hyper-personalized insurance offerings tailored to the particular channel or end customer and specific group. Can you do it in your core insurance? Some best-of-breed products probably are capable of doing that, but what is the speed to market? So how quickly you can do, and are those systems actually meant for these kind of configurations? So the main question is, will it all scale within expected timelines? So as you can see in the pictures, so there is a great revenue potential incoming by partnering with these many distribution channels, but can you get, or can insurers get there in time that they need? So our opinion is that it's hard, and to get there, maybe there is a need for a new product, and at SAP Pioneer, we have an idea of a new product called Engagement Hub. So in the nutshell, what is Engagement Hub supposed to do? So Engagement Hub is supposed to help insurers play an active role in these ecosystems, so being able to integrate with hundreds of these new distribution partners beyond financial services industry by enabling them to economically serve all of them and with quickly assembled fit-to-market insurance offerings. So having said that, even though we believe this will be a great enabler for traditional insurers, we think still that other players would also benefit from this solution. So for example, talking about banks, you know the model of banks when it comes to selling insurance. So they typically partner with one or maybe even with many insurers, if you talk about regional banks. So we believe that this product can help them to consolidate product offering which they get from different insurance carriers and offer them through their channels in a more uniform way. Talking about brokers, apart from consolidation, which also applies to them, we have also a benefit of steering by using the better data, so they can steer their workforce, and then the workforce can better propose to the end customers particular variants or propositions, so they can better fit the customer needs. And last but not least, the whole ecosystem of these non-FS players, I mentioned Amazon's, online travel agencies and similar, they still can leverage the solution to create dozens or hundreds of variants, so small fine-tuned insurance offerings, which basically they can later on embed into the broader user journey of selling their main product or a service online. As we are a product company, we need to come up with some architecture, so sorry for so much text on the slide, but don't read, just try to focus on what I'm saying. So what are the key elements of this architecture? Coming from the previous part, so we said, okay, we want to help insurers to integrate with the ecosystem, with digital touch points, with numerous numbers of business partners. How we achieve that? Basically leveraging three main things. One thing is API management. I mean, everyone nowadays talks about APIs, but what is our unique value proposition here? So we want to basically generate simple use case product-driven APIs, dozens, numbers of them, leveraging low-code, no-code capabilities, in order to make it more consumable by the endpoints, by these distribution partners. Furthermore, which is becoming more and more popular, is basically creating widgets. So these are plug-and-play parts of the screen where we even go beyond. So if you have distribution partners who need to sell insurance coming out from non-insurance industry, they typically don't know much about insurance. So even if you offer them simple APIs, they may struggle to integrate. So what makes it easier for them, if you already have ready-to-use widgets, so small screens, simplified screens, where the insurance is already packed and ready to be embedded into a broader customer portal which they have online. And last but not least, you see also a rising trend of carriers, especially traditional ones, launching new brands. So if those insurers want to launch new brands, we could also support them by creating microsites which are styled and themed with a new brand, so they can quickly expose basic services online like quotation, selling a policy, a first notice of loss. So all in all, the main idea is how to simplify consumption of the insurance products and services for the channels, because there is a great number of them, and many of them do not come from insurance and hardly know much about insurance. Next important component is that this is one side of the story. So simplify the integration on the outside, but still, insurance is not that simple, and things which we get from the core, typically APIs are quite generic, broad, not that easy to consume. But in order to make it easier and to basically improve time to market, we want to build connectors. So we want to build connectors for, first of all, our product, our core, but in the future as well for Guidewire, any other best-of-breed vendors, in order to ease the integration of those vendors in the overall integration chain. Of course, some customers will have their legacy systems, and we want also to build some accelerators for the integration of the custom legacy solutions. The third, and maybe even the last that I mentioned, but maybe most important component in the overall architecture is basically, we call it at the moment, proposition product management. So that's basically a configurator for the employees of an insurer, where they can quickly configure fine-tuned propositions or commercial products, however you call it, for the specific distribution partner or for specific scenario. What is there different than typical core insurance product configurator? So we want to simplify it. We want to allow only activities which are relevant for that. So for example, selection of coverages, coverage bundles, particular fields, giving a name, assigning discounts. So very limited number of activities in order to enable a business user to do all these fine-tunings. And going beyond, of course, in the future, you could also get distributors on this platform, and then even the employees of the distributor can do this kind of tweaking themselves. So going back to, let's say, getting a bit more clarity, because it might create some confusion, what do you do where? So if you talk about core insurance suite, our vision of the operating model and how companies would leverage on this solution is that on the core insurance suite, which can be, as I said, any SAP or any other vendor, you will actually configure white label master products. So white label in order that they are reusable by any other partner, because the labeling and everything else you would do actually in the engagement hub. Those master products are highly standardized, feature-rich, and typically you don't have that frequent changes. So you do have less frequent changes when you have a new risk, maybe new rates, and things like that. And where Engagement Hub comes in place is basically that you take those master products for a particular line of business, whatever you agree with the distributor to sell, and then you make fine-tuned, tiny variations as you need for a particular channel. So here we talk about big numbers. If you have 10, 20, 30 distribution partners times 10 variants, you can make hundreds of variants. So in order to do so, you need to make it very easy, very user-friendly, with a limited set of options. What is important? Time to market. So I think nowadays, some of you probably have experience as well from practice. If you are configuring a product in a core, typically it will take you days to weeks, at least, sometimes months. And our ambition is that if you talk about variant configuration in the engagement hub, it would typically take you hours to days. So slowly, I am actually coming to an end of this first part because I also wanted to use the opportunity to show you a click-through demo. Talking a bit about the demo, so we have selected a sample case of embedding travel insurance into the online customer journey. So the scenario is as follows. So for example, I will be the insurer employee, for example, of Allianz, and we are partnering with, for example, an online travel agency, Booking.com, and we are creating actually a particular travel insurance proposition, so particular variant, which distributor wants to sell online as part of a broader journey of booking a trip. So what are the main steps I will guide you through? So we will start on the insurer dashboard, so basically a homepage. I'll show you how you can search around the proposition, how you can maybe create a new proposition, get into proposition details. That's the first step, so configuring the offering. And then in the next step, how would you actually adjust the UI integration? So how can you actually plug and play such a newly created proposition into the broader journey, in this case on Booking.com. So let me start the demo, just give me a second. So this is a starting page, home page. So what you can see here, some high-level information at the top where we can push different notifications. On the left side, you can actually see the top 3 propositions, so top 3 variants of commercial products for a white label product, short-term travel insurance. So in this case, again, we are an insurer whose employee is configuring variants for a distribution partner, for example, Booking.com, because they want to embed insurance product into their journey of booking the trip itself. Here you can see some training and education materials. This is very important. And then some data insights on the right side, some key KPIs. And of course, you can embed any kind of news. On the top right corner, you have actually search capabilities, some smart search. At any point in time, you can add a new proposition, onboard a new partner. So in this case, we have onboarded the Booking.com already, but we can onboard any other partner and do the same scenario for it. And what is interesting as well, given the fact that we want to create numerous numbers of variants for every distribution partner, it's also very important to do A/B testing. So to see which propositions perform good, which perform bad, and adjust based on that. On the right bottom corner, you have a kind of a chatbot, but it's more like another way to access various useful information, which you may need as a person who is using the system. So if you click on this side, we can see a product overview. So what you can see here, we are partnering with Booking.com, and in this case, they are selling, so in the B2B2C kind of engagement model, they're selling short-term travel insurance and annual travel insurance for us. But again, those are master products, very broad products. So what the guy actually is doing is making tiny propositions which are specific for a specific scenario or for a specific customer group. So if you click on one proposition, we can get actually into the overview of the page of the proposition. You can see commercial discounts, which is very important. This is one of the settings which you would do. So if you have a approaching long weekend, you can create a discount so to motivate people to buy travel insurance because they will be likely traveling that weekend. So it's all about creating something in hours and launching at the moment you really need to react quickly. And then let me guide you through some of the configuration which you would typically do. So talking about travel insurance, you typically offer coverages as coverage packages. So you hardly get online to select or deselect nowadays, especially if you want to buy it quickly, every individual coverage. So as an employee, I'm here seeing the list of all possible coverages which are offered by the broad white label product. And then in order to make it tailored and fine-tuned to my specific scenario, I have configured 3 cap packages, standard, premium, and ultimate. So if I sort, I can basically figure out which of those I include, which of those I exclude from the standard package. So some more coverages in the premium package, and basically the larger group of coverages in the ultimate package. Some of the coverages will also have some properties. So for example, limits. In this case, we have limits, and we decide to default limits for standard to 1,500, premium a bit higher, and ultimate much higher. So why are we doing that? So we are basically pre-selecting and reducing the number of clicks which end customer needs to do when purchasing insurance. Because if we talk about embedded insurance, we need to simplify. We need to make it specific to a particular journey. Otherwise, customer will just not get into all these clicks, because typically they're buying it next to a main product. So they want to finish that process very quickly. Next part, which is also very important. So once you configure what you want to offer, we get into UI integration. So when we onboarded the distributor, we also onboarded their team. We onboarded their colors. So on this page, you can see 3 types of integration, as we talked about: microsite, widgets, and APIs. So today I'll focus mainly on widget-based integration. So here you can see the headline. So this is on the right side. There is already a preview of that small plug-and-play screen, which, again, the distributor can then easily embed into the broader website wherever he wants. So we have a headline, subline, so you can configure those things. You have a theme. So this distributor has a dark and a light theme, so you can be changing that. There is a primary color, so if you come here and select, for example, teal, the button will change. So you can do all these kind of fine-tunings. And yeah, here's a code preview, because at the very end, this code will end up on the distributor side. So what you achieve by that, so you reduce complexity of integration, because the APIs are actually called behind that. So the API consumption is taken over on this end, and the distributors will easier engage. So they will be motivated actually to collaborate with you. If I go back to a home page, so for example, you can create a new proposition at any moment in time. You can select from template. There are already existing propositions. So imagine you just have to do some fine-tunings. You select, you do some tweaking, you save a new one. And what is also important is actually configuration of attributes. So when you get your product from the core, you get coverages, you get certain attributes. So what is the beauty of embedded insurance is that you already have some customer information at first. So in this case, we need to provide all these attributes to the core, but plenty of them, or many of them, we actually already know on the front end, because the customer is already logged in at booking.com. So we can basically tick off those, and we can only ask specific trip type. And then you can navigate here. And what you see here are the actually options for the answers for the trip type. And you can even select the look and feel. So you saw it on our widget. It looks like that. And as an employee, you're, for example, assessing, OK, I'm selling this in Germany. We are in a summer season. I don't need a skiing as an option, because I want my customer to see only what is relevant for him. So even though skiing is an option in the master product, in this particular scenario, we don't want to see it, so we tick it off. So this was just one small example of narrowing. So the whole idea is basically we get a white label, feature-rich product from the core, and then we narrow it down to a specific need by configuring it directly here in the Engagement Hub. For the very end, I may show you still additional page. So of course, this is not a core of our product, but we will deliver also some analytics. Why is that important? So me being a carrier and dealing with hundreds of distribution partners, I would like to see how they perform. So what is the main goal of this page is basically to figure out how my distribution partners are performing when it comes to selling short-term travel insurance. So here we can see, for example, Booking.com, Lufthansa, and our own Allianz website. How many of propositions did they sell? And based on that, you can also adjust your partner strategy. So good performing, maybe give them better margins and commissions, and low performing, maybe reconsider partnership with them. With this, I would finish the demo and jump quickly to the slides. So what are key takeaways? So with Engagement Hub, first of all, we want to enable digital distribution. So we want to support B2C and B2B2C collaboration models by providing insurers an opportunity to easier expose and digitize insurance products to their own customer portals or to the other distribution partners. To achieve that, we also deliver a functionality of quickly configuring those fine-tuned insurance offerings, those propositions, so capabilities that you can configure hundreds of them basically in hours or days. And last but not least, faster time to market in doing so. Okay, so I think I'm doing good with time, so 4 minutes if there are questions.
We have one question. I think it may have been answered, but I'll ask it anyway. Is Engagement Hub a standalone product? How can it be integrated with the core products for insurance?
Yes, so basically, the idea of Engagement Hub is actually to be a standalone product, to be an enabler. And when we talk about integration with the core insurance, so I think I can jump to the architecture slide, for example, here. So we definitely need the core insurance. So this product is not meant to replace core insurance suites. This product is meant to complement core insurance suites and enable customers to go more digital. We definitely need to integrate. We definitely need to consume APIs of the core, which are not easy to consume. But that's the benefit of Engagement Hub, because once we build connectors for standard vendors, every next customer will benefit from that. So they don't need to build these connections from scratch. Of course, we will have connectors to bring the product data, to call APIs of the core, to calculate the premium, create a policy, inquire a policy. So all those integrations would be built and delivered over the time through the connectors. And if you talk about legacy core insurance suites, we also want to deliver templates and a tooling that we can actually accelerate those integrations.
That's it. So you're perfectly on time. Thank you for that. So you can also catch Nicola outside if you see him during the lunch break, etc. So Nicola, thank you very much.
Thank
really
you.
Great stuff.
And thank you, guys.
Thank you.